Hood muffler life, yo. What's up, guys? My plans for Buck? Well, they're kind of... And I thought the last video went off the rails. Well, this time, I filmed too much. I've been dragging my heels because I just been undecisive, but I need to get this video done. So I'm going to head inside. I'm going to edit what I got down. I'll voice it over, whatever. We'll get it done because we got bigger problems to get on to.
This is the intro I made of fixing the battery connection before I realized it's not going to be so simple. Then I make a bad joke introduction, ramble on about how the last video didn't go as planned, I make another bad joke about how it could have been worse in the longest battery swap. I point out the test sheet from the starter that no one cares about. Still worked. Yay! Next, I take you over to the truck and show you the wires I shortened up, battery terminal I used. Then I ramble about basically the wire resistance and starter wire, how it's underrated for the cold cranking amps load and so on. Interesting stuff, I think. Okay, then I'm like, I need to change this ground because it's a bad location on the header because heat increases resistance and is basically like a pipeline right into the battery to heat the battery up and lower its effectiveness.
And we're tight. Okay, so ground's on its new location, but as you can see, that cable is pretty corroded. It's a nice thick gauge, but it's definitely going to have to be replaced. For now, it's good enough. On to the next task. We need to pull these headers.
And this is where I got ahead of myself. I thought the starter had been dealt with, but I was very wrong. So let's get back to these headers here in a little while.
Okay, so you want the bad news or you want the really bad news? Let's start with the bad news. Buck still does not crank over. I hooked up the charger, high boost. She'll click away, no problem, but we won't crank.
Back to the high speed. I talk about how it could be a possible electrical gremlin. I know it turns over fine by hand. Maybe that cable's junk. The connection between the head and the block. How the bracket is in the way for a good block ground.
Another potential problem is the starter where it touches the block. That's how it gets its ground. So the block itself could need to be cleaned off. Now I'd have to pull the starter, clean the block, put the starter back on. So I really hope that's not the problem, but it's very possible. So on to the really bad news.
Again, let's stick with the starter and we'll get back to this later.
Back to the ground. So I did notice there are these, there's a possible hole right here on what would be the fuel pump. There would be a mechanical fuel pump here, but this block is not machined for it. It's newer and uses, this truck is an electric fuel pump. So if there's threads in this hole, we can just move this ground to the block and try that before tomorrow, because I can't get a cable till tomorrow. But I have a feeling they did not machine those, and I don't have a 3/8 tap. So we'll check and see here. I'm betting there's no threads, and I might feel some threads. I don't know. Let's see, is there even a hole over here? Nope, there's no hole there. So
skip ahead again.
Well, here's a little bit of good luck. We got threads. So I'm going to use this modified bolt to clean out those threads because I cannot find my 3/8 chaser because I loaned it to someone and they did not bring it back. And I'm going to work it in and out of that hole and clean it out as best I can, and then I will move that ground. And we'll try it again. No promises though. And And tight again. We'll even clean the terminal on this time. Oh, come on, camera. We're not there yet, but we're making progress. Well, I think we're on the right track at least.
If only I knew.
I'm off to a late start tonight.
Blah, 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 blah. I dug out some wiring and found this automotive cable. It's only 6 gauge. And check out this gash in it. Here's some welding cable I normally like to use, but I don't want to use on buck. Then I compare it to the buck's cable and talk about insulation thickness. And let's give this cable a try.
Here's the cable swap for the negative. Here's the cable now on the positive. Nada. Looks like I'm going to crawl under there and pull the starter. The starter's back off. Doesn't look all corroded up, so I think it's fine there. But I'll still wire wheel it up. I even brought the face shield down so I don't get a bunch of junk in my face, because it's cooler out tonight actually. Okay, let me get the light. You can see it doesn't look too bad. Now this light's got a bit of a yellow tint to it, so it may make it look worse. But it doesn't look bad. So I don't know, I may have to get the starter tested tomorrow before I put it back on. Okay, yeah, that definitely looks a little better. You know, we'll give it a shot. I was kind of skeptical, but yeah, I think it looks better. Also, I may need a new tire. You see that? It's not my thumbnail. It's a scratch in my brand new glasses. These are the same frames and slightly different prescription as my last pair, but the drop light fell and hit me when I was putting the starter in, and it scratched right. So this is going to bug me. I've been wearing these for about a week or so. Anyways, starter hooked back up, and here you can see we're getting there. So at this point, I'm thinking it's the battery. So before I pulled the starter, I wanted to pull the battery out of the Silverado, which you can't see out there. But it's freaking dead! I cannot make this crap up. I'm done for tonight. Maybe I'm done with this video. Today I picked up a new battery, and you can see for yourself. Much better. But I think I'll still throw it on the charger here real quick while I'm messing with the new cables. Cable to be exact. I got a 78-inch cable that I'm going to turn into 2 cables. I'm just going to cut in the middle. We'll cut it at the lengths I need, cut a little bit of the center out, because I already got plenty of cable making supplies. So charge that up, make a new cable. Cables. I shortened up the negative a tad, lengthened the positive a tad, and of course I'm going to have to finish it up on the truck because of the alternator charge wire. They give you this red shrink wrap to ID if it's positive, but I already have this red electrical tape, and I also like to add a little bit on the end because I don't like how they leave so much exposed in case it arcs. And excess, right about a foot. The new battery and cables are in. Look at all that junk.
That wraps it up pretty much for the starter portion of the video. Now let's jump back to those headers.
And, well, this exhaust off, so I can lash these valves. I don't know if you saw my last video, but the header is on top of the valve cover, and Travis says he thinks the valve lash needs to be checked. So I'm going to pull this exhaust off, and I was planning on trying my new Milwaukee ratchet, but you know, it's a small block Chevy, so of course you got to use a wrench for half the bolts anyway. small block Chevy header life, yo. And we'll get that done here in a second. And I mean, this is not an ideal setup really for a carburetor anyway. I mean, just tuning the carburetor because of this. You don't want this hot muffler right here when you're trying to reach in to pull the rear fuel bowls. Definitely, I mean, there is no room. You're going to burn yourself, or even making timing adjustments. This is not an ideal setup for carburetor, non-computer controlled distributor. I think it's cool, but I'm definitely going to replace this shortly. This whatever you want to call it, with some classic style exhaust, and maybe I'll put it back on once the tune's dialed in. So we'll see. For now, we got to pull it off just to mess with stuff. Always do the hard bolts first. Small block Chevy header life, yo. Got them off. Had to use a plethora of tools, as always, of course. I was hoping to get them off before it got dark, but as you can see, I did not. Oh, and by the way, that is a great idea, Travis. I don't have one of those, ones that hook to either side of the hood, but a couple zip ties and a shop light, and awesome. Headers suck. As I said earlier, always get the the hard bolts off first. I always drop at least one wrench and a few bolts, of course. But they are off. Now we can get to lashing those valves. And I didn't realize this until I was taking them off, but like with the starter over here, I use this crowfoot wrench. I was like, oh, I could probably use a crowfoot on some of these, at least when I'm tightening them up. And then I'm like, I'll have to make one. But as you can see right here, I have a set, Harbor Freight Special. I haven't even opened them up and used them yet, so oops, I guess I should have got those out instead of just toughing it out and getting those suckers off. Ugh, you can smell the fuel. Yuck.
Remember earlier when I said there was some really bad news?
On to the really bad news. I'm over here, just looking at the rockers. I just pulled the valve covers, and you may notice, well, it's hard to see on this side. I'll go back over here for a second. You can kind of see, glare, I can't see if you can see. Sorry guys, trying to find the right good angle here. You can kind of see the studs are about all the same. The nuts are down about all the same. Now we go back over to here, this side, and we got these two right here that are showing more stud. And right now it's set where, we'll go with the exhaust method if we ever get to it, but this is where it would be to lash this one. So these two are way loose and the nuts are run down. That's not good. Buck has this stock flat tappet cam, and that's telling me we got two really bad lifters, or even worse, we got two cam lobes that are gone. My money's on the cam lobes, because nothing's ever simple and easy. It's just putting two new lifters in there, or cleaning them, or something like that. Still, I did not expect much out of this engine. I expected, a few burnouts, have some fun. Best case scenario, I could cruise it. Worst case scenario, it blows up before I even get a burnout. I don't technically need, I guess, those lobes to get a burnout if I can get them to start and run. I won't bother changing the intake or doing too much. I'll probably just throw those hood mufflers back on for now and, let it rip. Anyways, back to the ground.
That pretty much covers everything, so time to wrap this sucker up.
Just one more thing I want to point out about the starter. I think because of these holes, the rain came in, ran down the block, and onto the starter. Because that terminal I cleaned up, it rusted up again pretty quick. So I believe the holes caused the failure of the starter. And there we are. It's not going to be just a quick intake swap and some tuning on Buck to get him cruising. This is moving on to full-on build territory, because even with just the Vortec heads and exhaust manifolds, that TBI fuel pump would barely support the horsepower. Now you put a cam in Buck, maybe some headers and some other stuff I would like to do, and we got to upgrade the fuel system. And it's like, do I upgrade the stock fuel system? Do I go complete fuel cell? I still don't even know what cam I'm going to use. So that's the dilemma. That's why I'm dragging my feet. There we are. I'm still undecided. I'm going to wrap this up. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. I forgot one more thing. I still haven't showed you guys the results of the starter. Wires and new battery. Here we go. Keep it real.